Some people think that just grinding away, working hard, getting things done is going to make you a great leader. And that's not it. People want to work with people and will respond to people when they know that that leader cares about them, is invested in their success, and feels like they're a collaborative player and leader. Listen to your team. Taking time to sit down with team members, have lunch, letting them share what they're working on, what sort of challenges they're facing, sitting back and really letting them talk through aspects. As humans, we need to give each other grace. We're moving fast, things happen. People get paralyzed by fear and failure. It can keep people from being productive, and we all have feelings, and you're allowed to feel that way. It's how you show up with those feelings. That's what matters.
Diverse thinking to the podcast from a generational aspect.
Change doesn't have to be overwhelming. Once you've made change, your mind knows how to make change.
At any stage of our lives, we are unstoppable. Welcome to Unstoppable, the podcast where we dive into the journeys of extraordinary individuals who have overcome adversity, embraced challenges, and forged their own paths to success. Each episode is packed with powerful insights, real-life stories, and the mindset shifts that drive unstoppable leaders forward. I'm Michelle Bonahum, your host and the founder of Vision One. We help businesses navigate through growth, M&A integration, and transition planning. With years of experience guiding leaders through transformational moments, I'm passionate about uncovering the strategies and mindsets that fuel success. In this episode 15, we're joined by Melissa Johnston, a powerhouse in the banking industry and a driving force behind EntreBank. As a dynamic female leader, Melissa has navigated and overcome significant challenges, emerging as a resilient trailblazer in finance and business. With a passion for empowering entrepreneurs, she combines strategic financial expertise with an unwavering commitment to helping businesses thrive. Her journey is one of perseverance, transformation, and leadership, making her an unstoppable force in both finance and life. Tune in to hear Melissa's inspiring story and the lessons she's learned along the way. Welcome, Melissa. It's so great to see you.
Thank you for having me, Michelle. Yes, it's wonderful to be connected here. And our lives have intertwined in a number of personal and professional ways. So appreciate you having me on the show.
Well, I'm super excited. I'm in particular excited when we have great dynamic female leaders joining our podcast to be able to tell your story. And so why don't we just start there? Start by telling us your story.
Sure. Yeah. So I grew up on a farm in southern Minnesota. My parents had 3 girls. So I'm the oldest child. I have 2 younger sisters. And so we did a lot of the work. Us girls, we did all the things that were needed to be done with the hogs and all the chores. And so I think about that a lot now as it relates to when I talk to folks about, being a woman in leadership, being in banking, being in male-dominated industries. And I look back on the fact that growing up, my dad didn't separate, these are the things that girls can do. These are the things that boys can do. I mean, it was all just, we all do all the things. We all put limits on ourselves in various ways. And so I'm grateful that was a big part of my upbringing and what we do. This is part of our family.
Yeah, that's awesome. So talk about your career path over the last couple of decades.
So right out of college, I went to work for Midwest Corporation, which owns Midwest Bank, worked there for about 10 years, and then went over to Highland Bank, worked there for about 10 years, and then was very happy and felt good about where things were at, wasn't looking to leave, and got contacted actually by Dan Beckerman, who has been part of 2 successful banks here in the Twin Cities that were purchased, and he wanted to start a bank. And at first I was not interested in being part of that group. That felt like a very crazy and risky idea to start a bank and leave a good, secure job and lifestyle. Then over time, it grew on me. And just thinking back to that time, the fact that I knew it would be harder to live with regret than with
Oh,
risk. I mean, it just felt like
yeah.
truly an opportunity of a lifetime. And I had no idea how to start a bank. I did not have a lot of management experience as it relates to having direct reports. I've been in the business development roles and credit analysis roles and a lot of different types of roles from that standpoint. But to take this on was a stretch. It was a big swing for me for sure.
Wow, that's exciting. I love how you said that it's harder to live with regret versus risk because a lot of times we avoid risk and then we
Right.
do end up kind of regretting that we didn't take that opportunity. So, as you
Mhm.
faced the decision to leave comfort and move into something that's new and risky that you didn't even have experience in, what were some of the mindsets that you had to shift to be able to say yes?
During that time, in small breaks in the action, I would read books, listen to podcasts, try to stay on top of what was going on. And I read Glennon Doyle's book um, at that time, and there was a quote in one of the chapters of her books where she was like, "Paint the truest and most beautiful picture of your career, and now
Mhm.
ask yourself, why aren't you doing that?" That was a pivotal moment in my life where it was like, okay, I need to shift my mindset to say I can be more, I can take on more risk and try something. And every day, even today, to this day, I remind myself driving into work, pressure is a privilege. Pressure is a
Oh,
privilege because
I love that. That's amazing. Some huge mindset shifts that you made to be able to take the leap. And you said
Mhm.
that this is something you hadn't done before. So what were some of
Right.
the steps you needed to take and some of the skills you needed to develop to be successful where you're at?
Yeah, great question. So I would say, and you know this too, Michelle, being in peer groups really helped me through the process where could talk through opportunities, challenges, learn from folks that have done this before, even though they hadn't started a bank, could connect with
Mhm.
them on that level and then level up in terms of management experience and sort of being a better leader because there's definitely some snags at the beginning where it was like, I can be better, I can do better. And you have to give yourself grace, learn along the way, keep an open mind.
Yeah, it's so important to it's kind of I'm hearing that you just had to really stay humble and continue to be open to learning, and that's so important as a leader, isn't it?
It is. Oh my gosh, it is. And listen to your team. I mean, taking time
Yeah.
to sit down with team members, have lunch, going into their office, chatting, letting them share what they're working on, what sort of challenges they're facing, disruption in their day, just sitting back and really letting them kind of talk through
Mhm.
aspects has is been really critical for me to being a good
Wow.
leader.
When you look back on your journey, what would be the top 2 or 3 things that you would say were the pinnacles of your success?
So my husband and I, our first daughter passed away. That was in 2007. So hard to believe it's been
Mm,
almost 18 years.
wow.
And that was completely surprising and life changing and also put perspective. I mean, I feel like anytime someone close to us passes away, it just gives you perspective for
Mhm.
sure in the moment and sometimes longer. Just that whole experience of you can't plan and control everything, right? I'm to the point now where there's a good phrase, turning pain into purpose or
Yeah.
misery into mission. And also the fact that life is short. Like nobody has a sticker on their head telling them when their last day is going to be. And so that life changing event helped me more live in the moment, be brave. Beyond that, as far as pivotal and pinnacle moments, I would also say the journey that my sister has been on as it relates to alcoholism. There's so much around that, and educating myself on how to be there for her in a healthy way. But those two, I would say, are sort of life
Yeah.
paradigm shifting events.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, I think I appreciate you sharing those stories. And, I found in my own journey that it is our personal stories that do shape us and kind of become a catalyst in being successful in business. So I love your phrase of pain into purpose and misery into mission.
Hmm.
How have you taken those two pinnacle moments in your life and really applied purpose to your pain and mission to your misery within the business world?
In the business world, as it relates to what my sister endured, I mean, when you've gone through an experience like that, or you've had a close family member that has gone through that, whether or not they've come out on the other side, I think it just helps
Yeah,
you relate to people better, understand people better, not be so judgy, right? Like, I
right.
wouldn't want people judging my sister. She's an amazing human and mom and going to school to be a nurse, and I'm super proud of her. And yet, she went through a tough time. She went through a dark time, and that happens. It resonates with me in the fact that people can come out on the other side
Yeah,
and get through
right.
challenges and make something incredible out of it.
I love how you said when you were communicating with your sister and even with your teammates, you mentioned communicating in a healthy way. And I just wanted to ask you if you could just elaborate a little bit on kind of what communicating in a healthy way means, when you are having those conversations with a family member, maybe someone on your team, when they're doing something that isn't the best for them. How do
Yep.
you communicate in a healthy way? Because I know it's never good to just say, stop that.
Right.
So,
It's about experience sharing. I never want to tell anyone anything that they should be doing because I can't give directions to places I've never been, right?
Yeah, that's
And
good.
so trying to share more about experiences, something that I've either done myself or helped someone else navigate. When I think about my sister, a lot of times, and she would be embarrassed or ashamed or this or that, and I would just say, you're allowed to feel that way. It's how you show up with those feelings. That's what matters. And so I had one of my, I would say now partners. She works at a law firm, and she worked with me at one of my banks, and there was some mistake that she made with the loan documents. Only half the package got signed, and she felt terrible, and she had told me that that was one of the biggest differences in her career, and what helped her navigate failure is the grace that she received when she made that mistake,
Wow. Wow.
and how I was just so easygoing about it, forgiving, like, let's come up with a solution, let's figure it out, we'll work through it. But I think people they get paralyzed by fear and failure, and it can keep people from being productive and getting things done. I think as humans, we need to give each other grace, and especially in the roles that we're in. I mean, I'm not doing, open heart surgery. There is, a document that could get missed from time to time, or something needs to get re-signed. We're moving fast, things happen. And I think just kind of embracing that spirit of helping each other succeed. So that's a big part of also how I try to communicate and lead.
Wow, I love it. I love it. Talk a little bit more about your leadership. You said that coming into this new role, you really didn't have a lot of leadership or management skills.
Hmm.
So, like, if you were to tell the audience the top 2 or 3 things that have really made you become a great leader, what would they be?
Listening. Oh my gosh. And I would just say also zooming out. I think being so close to the client and to the action in my previous
Yeah.
role, where you're just focused on, for example, getting a deal done, finding the next deal, connecting clients together to
Yeah.
get done what they want to get done, checking in with them, touching base. What's the vibe? How are things going? Because there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that I think leaders, and especially on the business development side, that
Yeah.
we just don't know. we don't know all the work that goes into, for example, getting loan documents produced or uploading, a new loan package into the system and getting it booked. I mean, those types of things where we might try to schedule 5 loan closings in a day. Well, guess what? We had 2 people in that department. And so that was a big part of it, where it was like just needing to be more understanding of everything that goes into the day-to-day tasks.
Yeah. I love that. I was thinking about how you were talking earlier about how, your dad raised you and your sisters and didn't separate roles, right? Like,
Mhm.
and as a dynamic female leader myself, has spent most of my career in manufacturing, banking, M&A, all kind
Mhm.
of male dominated worlds. I often see female leaders try to be stronger,
Mm.
rather than being more humble and kind of coming in with a servant heart. And so, what I'm hearing in you is that a lot of your success was when you kind of stepped back and
Yes.
humbly
You
served and listened.
you are saying it so well, and that was another key point that what you're saying reminds me of. I was listening to the Yukon coach, Gino Arinama. He was being interviewed, and he was talking about, I'm a big sports person, and all of our kids are in all the sports all the time. So he was talking about being a leader on the court and
Uh-huh.
what it takes and what will get your teammates to respond to you as a leader. And it was mind blowing to me, and it shouldn't have been. And it was the fact that some people think that just grinding away, working hard, getting things done, like all of that is going to make you a great leader.
Yeah.
And that's not it. People want to work with people and will respond to people when they know that that leader cares about them,
Yeah.
is invested in their success, and feels like they're a collaborative player and leader. And I still do this to some extent because of my workload, but I was coming in early, showing my team I'm working hard, staying late, like just trying to show them, look at how hard I'm working. We all need to be working hard. Look at how hard I'm working. That's not what they wanted.
Yeah.
That's not what they wanted to see. They
Yeah.
wanted to know I was invested in their success, checking in on them. How are you doing? What's happening? Are you managing? Do you need less? Do you need more? Like what's and when I made that shift in my behavior, that is when
Yeah.
the magic happened, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like so
That's
much,
awesome.
so much more cooperation, collaboration, mutual respect.
Yeah, I think that's such an important message for female leaders out there because, especially in a world where we're talking about women's liberation and all of these things, I mean, it's important, but at the same time, it's important to humbly be you and to really like be that servant leader. I
Mhm.
was leading a board made up of all men who ran multinational companies. And I remember going into a meeting where I needed to kind of pitch. I was the interim CEO of a company at that time, and I remember hearing this voice say, "Go in as a daughter, Michelle, because a
Mm.
daughter is already accepted. She doesn't have to prove herself. A daughter has favor," and so it was a huge wake up call for me because I realized I had been trying to like prove myself because
Mhm.
of the who the room was made up of, and it
Mhm.
was so interesting because the next day I kind of shifted how I went into the room, and the next day I got a call from one of the board members, and he's just like, "I just want to let you know I love your approach because it's a soft approach. You come to serve us. It's about listening and caring um and serving, just like you described." So if you were to look back over your career and to your young self on the farm, what advice would you give yourself?
Oh, you know what comes to mind is 2 simple words. I'll give a little credit to my, wannabe friend, Mel Robbins, which is let them.
Yes, I love that. I love Melon. I love the let them, the
It
book, let them.
is something I'm still working on
Yep.
because I'm a people pleaser. I want to serve. I want
Yeah.
people to think good things about me. I want to do good. I want people to think I'm good. And Mel Robbins is training me, so I'm still learning, but is training me to just let them think what
Yeah.
they want, let them say what they want, let them be. And so I think especially our young selves, to your point, when we're trying to prove ourselves, when we're trying to show up the right way, when we're trying to make an impression and this and that, we change and we
Yeah.
maybe put on a facade or we say a thing because we think it'll be received well when that's not what we mean or what we want to say. I've worked hard on this, still working on it, where it's people are going to think what they want, they're going to say what they want, and we need to let them.
Awesome. I have a whole like page of notes. I have took so much away, but you have some really good one-liners, Melissa, that I'm going to write down. I love how you said it's harder to live with regret versus risk. And it sounds like you really just you took that to heart when you stepped out, and look at you now. That's just amazing. I heard you talk a lot about surrounding yourself with terrific partners and people, and whether that's peer groups or mentors or other leaders or your business partners. So important to be able to. And then you also talked about it coming alongside of your sister, where you were able to be a support for her in that same way. So that's so critical to success as a leader. Um, I loved how you said pressure is a privilege, because sometimes it doesn't always feel that way. So to be able to change our mindset and see that if we're feeling pressure, we're probably in the right spot. Um, and then I love how you said turn pain into purpose and misery into mission. Like, we all have things that happen in our lives. I resonated with everything you shared in some way or another. But to be able to take that and not let it stop us, but to put it towards something that's meaningful. Like, it sounds like you've been able to do that in a magical way. I'm looking forward to seeing um, how you continue to grow at EntreBank, and just even as a leader. I've been grateful to know you, and love to have other dynamic female leaders in the world that are kind of showing how it should be done. And if any of the business owners or leaders that are listening in need a really great regional bank, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, probably email is going to be the best, melissa@entrebank.com. Entrebank.com is our website. You just take off the part that's hard to spell and hard to pronounce for entrepreneur and shorten that up, and just EntreBank. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, so we like to be involved in the community, sponsoring events, attending events, being on panels, doing mentoring, those types of pieces. So following EntreBank and or me on LinkedIn will get you involved in that way as well.
Well,
Well,
thank you so much for
yeah.
taking the time to be our guest
Oh
today.
my goodness. Thank you. It warmed my heart to have this conversation. I appreciate you both. And yes, keep doing the great work with your Unstoppable show.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for listening to Unstoppable. If you found this episode valuable, please like, subscribe, and share. At Vision One, we help business owners and leaders navigate critical transitions. Whether you're growing, buying, or selling, or transitioning to the next generation, if you're feeling stuck or need extra support, visit us at visiononeperformance.com to learn how we can help. And don't forget to check out our book, Unstoppable: 7 Simple Steps to Get Unstuck, Make the Big Change, and Unlock Your Potential. It's free on Audible, so you can find the link on our website. Remember, the only limits are the ones you set. Stay unstoppable, and we'll see you next time.